Good evening, I'm John Carter. Welcome to Poland Daily. Yesterday, the Gazeta Polska weekly gala took place at the National Philharmonic in Warsaw. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki was selected as Man of the Year 2018 by Gazeta Polska Weekly, while Professor Krzysztof Szwargrzyk was given the highest recognition by Gazeta Polska clubs from all over the globe for his work on finding and identifying the remains of freedom fighters murdered by the communist regime.
I invite on the stage our special guest, Chairman Kaczyński.
You are on the front line of this difficult patriotic political battle, which seemed hopeless for years, but yet it brought results. Today we need to start the fight for our next victory in the coming elections, in which the fate of Poland will be settled.
We want to express our gratitude for what he has done for many years to preserve the memory of Polish patriotic heroes viciously murdered by the communist Stalinist regime.
I deeply believe that in that process of bringing back the memory of Polish heroes that the communists tried to erase from our history, we will be able to fulfill our Polish obligation and find the last remains of anti-communist forgotten soldiers murdered by Germans, communists, Ukrainians and Soviets. So help us God.
Professor Ryszard Legutko, philosopher and European MP from the Law and Justice Party, and film director Patryk Wega were given Nowe Państwo magazine's Gregory the Great Awards.
What is happening in the world now is down to you, largely down to you and your friends. Presently, Poland is one of the few countries in the world which has managed to preserve full freedom.
Od sukcesu tego, co dzieje się w Polsce, brali udział w tym wielkim zbiorowym wysiłku.
We have here in the audience people who fought the biggest battles with corruption in Poland. If not for you, if not for the fight against the VAT mafia and other corruption scandals, our country would not have money for new programs, to lower taxes, to stimulate the economy. We wanted to recognize that. The Prime Minister is the leader of that team.
Premier Mateusz Morawiecki.
Jak tutaj mnie Tomek wiódł, to...
When Tomasz led me here, I asked what music would be used. He said it will be Rocky Balboa, and sure enough it was. I am going to use that. Rocky also, like we do, tried to fight with the best, to win. He tried to fight in higher weight categories. Do we want that? Of course. We do not want to stay in a corner. We do not want to have a minimal amount of programs. We do not want to be a punching bag. We want to fight. We want to fight for a better, happier Poland.
Oczywiście.
The leader of the Law and Justice Party, Jarosław Kaczyński, introduced an extension to the 500-plus programme and the 13 retirement paycheck, and has put the opposition on the defensive. Opposition politicians claim that Kaczyński's new promises are a risk to the state budget. The government says that there will be enough money available and will present their financial plan on March the 5th.
These are not just promises, this is huge support for the society. An introduction of the 500-plus program for the first child, no more income tax return for employees up to the age of 26, the so-called 13 retirement paycheck, the return of reduced bus connections, and reduction of labour costs. These are the 5 campaign promises of Kaczyński's Law and Justice Party.
Już 5 marca przedstawimy mapę drogową.
On March 5th, we will introduce the roadmap of the Law and Justice Party's plan. It will concern the exact deadlines of the projects, when exactly they will be on the list of legislative works, and when exactly we will be discussing it in the Council of Ministers. Opposition politicians see Kaczyński's 5 promises as cheap populism.
There will be higher salaries for teachers, there are huge lines for medical specialists, there is a problem with indebted hospitals. There is still some for all of it to be solved.
The implementation of the promises announced by Jarosław Kaczyński is supposed to cost the state budget around 40 billion zlotys.
I understand that this amount concerning new campaign propositions is making an impression. They have been preparing for a couple of months, the costs were counted up and the means were protected.
As the leader of the Law and Justice Party announced, an additional benefit for pensioners for the amount of 1,100 zlotys will be paid on May 1st. The 500-plus program for the first child will take effect from July 1st this year. The other promises will be implemented by September 21st. More campaign promises of the ruling party will be introduced in June and July.
dokonywać.
We will get further this way we started to go 3 years ago. We showed that we can and will do more.
Myśmy już pokazali, że umiemy.
The British electorate, which had voted for Great Britain to leave the European Union, has received 2 severe blows to their hopes of Brexit taking place on March the 29th. The leaders of both major political parties seem intent on subverting the will of the British public. On Sunday, the leader of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn, reversed his earlier pledge by stating that his party will, in fact, support a second referendum if the government doesn't accept the Labour Party's soft Brexit proposal. Furthermore, Theresa May has promised MPs vote on a no-deal Brexit or a delay to Brexit if the Houses of Commons once again rejects her EU withdrawal agreement.
Today's announcement by Prime Minister May is seen by some as an attempt to break the deadlock concerning the Brexit negotiations.
I can say, first of all, that Prime Minister May and I discussed yesterday a lot of issues, including the legal and procedural context of a potential extension. For me, it's absolutely clear that if there is no majority in the House of Commons to approve a deal, we will face an alternative, a chaotic Brexit or extension. The less time there is until the 29th of March, the greater is the likelihood of an extension. And this is an objective fact, not our intention, not our plan, but an objective fact.
It seems the plan of extending negotiations with the EU is increasingly looking like the most likely outcome.
So today I want to reassure the House by making 3 further commitments. First, we will hold a second meaningful vote by Tuesday the 12th of March at the latest. Second, if the government has not won a meaningful vote by Tuesday the 12th of March, then it will, in addition to its obligations to table a neutral amendable motion under Section 13 of the EU Withdrawal Act, table a motion to be voted on by Wednesday the 13th of March at the latest, asking this House if it supports leaving the EU without a withdrawal agreement and a framework for a future relationship on the 29th of March. So the United Kingdom will only leave without a deal on the 29th of March if there is explicit consent in the House for that outcome.
Representatives of the Labour Party argue that Prime Minister May's handling of Brexit has been disastrous.
I've lost count of the number of times the Prime Minister has come to this House to explain a further delay. They say, Mr. Speaker, history repeats itself, first time as tragedy, second time as farce. By the umpteenth time, it can only be described as grotesquely reckless.
Currently, all options are being kept open. After the vote in Parliament on March 12th, it should become easier to forecast the path the UK will ultimately take.
Thank you very much for joining us here this evening at Poland Daily. I'm John Carter. Stay tuned after the break for Poland Daily weather. That's followed by the business. Then it's the culture, history and the travel.